Okay, hello, welcome back. This is episode 3 of some of the more niche features of the Twilight Imperium browser app. You can call this Technologies Niche Features episode 2. So today we're going to look at some technologies that are lesser seen and apply more to combat. And hoping to get through 3 of them. First, we're going to look at Graviton laser system. Then we'll look at assault cannon, and finally Duranium armor, hopefully, depending on how this all goes. So we've set up a game here. It's pretty well developed, and down at the middle left of the map, there's a battle going on where currently the blue player, the Federation of Soul, the red player is the Emeritus of Hakan. So we got a battle that's about to begin. The red player just activated the system here, and the main ships in this battle are carriers, cruiser, a couple destroyers, a carrier. And there are some fighters, so if we look at the board, off of the board here, we can see that we have 2 fighters and our opponent has 2 fighters and also carrying an infantry. So right now we're just at the beginning of the combat, and we're in the perform space cannon abilities. And here's where we want to use Graviton laser system. So opening up our own technologies deck, if we look at Graviton laser system and read it, it says, you may exhaust this card before one or more of your units use a space cannon. Hits produced by those units must be assigned to non-fighter ships if available. The current system does have our units, and we have 2 PDSs. So because now we're performing space cannon offense abilities, this is where we want to activate this card. Okay, so all we have to do is double click it, and then it's going to tell us that we've selected Graviton laser system, and effects will be applied after space cannon offense is rolled. Double click again to undo the selection. So basically, once we click the green check mark and confirm, then Graviton laser system will be applied. If we double click again, then we'll deselect it and the technology won't be used. All right. Now this card is exhaustible, right? So we want to be selective when we're using it. That's why you get the option here. So we're going to use it, and then we're going to click to roll. And we're going to check the game log here. And we're going to see that we rolled space cannon offense and produced 2 hits. So here we are in the roll summary. Now, we actually had plasma scoring, so one of our PDSs got to make 2 rolls. So we produced 1 hit with that, and 1 hit with the other PDS. And you can see the modifiers here include Graviton laser system. So these 2 hits are going to have to be applied by our opponent to non-fighter ships. So let's see, if we go over to Bob's tab, Bob can resolve abilities before assigning hits. And because we have to assign 2 hits, we're going to actually take this opportunity to highlight using an action card. And we're going to use maneuvering jets. And before we assign hits produced by another player's space cannon, we're going to go ahead and cancel one of the hits. So we're going to cancel a hit here. And what's going to happen now is players are going to have a chance to sabotage this. Charlie has no sabotage card, so he can't use it. But Alice that's us, we actually have a sabotage. So if we wanted, here's where we could double click and actually cancel maneuvering jets. So if we clicked OK, we could confirm here and negate Bob's attempt to cancel one of our hits. But I kind of want Bob's ships to try to survive a little bit, because that might give us a chance to see how Duranium armor works later. So I'm actually not going to sabotage this. I'm going to let it go. And so now Bob should only have to assign one hit, right? Look at the game log, you can see that maneuvering jets successfully went through. So now, keeping in mind that Bob here is the red player, and we've suffered effectively now a one hit from the PDS, and Graviton laser was applied. So that means we have to assign a hit to a non-fighter ship. Well, let's see what happens if we try to assign the hit to a fighter. So we click the fighter, and it tells us that the hit was assigned, and we have 0 hits left to assign. So if we try to go through with this, well, the game actually tells us that we have not assigned enough hits to non-fighter ships. See, we have to assign one hit to a non-fighter ship. So we have to undo that. We can't select infantry either. Can't assign hits to infantry. So it's either going to be the carrier or the cruiser. So we'll apply one hit to the carrier, and then we'll confirm that. And refreshing, we can see we have one carrier, and if we refresh the board, yeah, there's one carrier here in the system, right? So Graviton laser seems to have worked out, and that's how you use it. So you're gonna exhaust the card while the game's asking you to perform your space cannon offense. So before you click the check mark to roll space cannon offense, you're gonna select Graviton laser system. So now we're at the start of a space combat round, and we're asking Bob here to perform an ability. We're going to go ahead and pass Bob, and Charlie's going to pass. And we get over back to our tab. I'm going to refresh things. Okay, so here we are at the start of a space combat. And the next card I want to highlight here is going to be Assault Cannon. So Assault Cannon says, at the start of a space combat in a system that contains 3 or more of your non-fighter ships, your opponent must destroy one of his non-fighter ships. And if we look at the system here, we do have 3 non-fighter ships. We have 2 destroyers and 1 carrier involved in the combat. Now, Assault Cannon seems like it probably should be a card that happens passively, but in terms of how the mechanics work in the game, you're going to actually have to double click it and use it to apply it. And we know we can apply it now because the turn prompt is saying resolve an ability, start of space combat. And Assault Cannon says at the start of a space combat. So when you first start using the app, these things might, they seem a little tricky, but eventually I've gotten used to understanding how the ability round works. The other thing that I think we'll eventually do, and we want to do, is make it so that at the start of your turn or an ability round, the cards that are available to you are going to become highlighted, kind of like become emissive. And the decks as well. So like say you don't have the technology deck open, right? And say you have your planets deck open, then the own technology deck will start flashing. So that'll indicate to you that there's going to be some sort of card in here that's playable right now during this timing window. And then should you navigate here, eventually you'll see the Assault Cannon card flashing. So that'll come at some point in the future for sure. But for now, we kind of have to be vigilant about playing our cards. So we're going to double click Assault Cannon. And we're going to confirm that we want to play this card. Okay. And the turn display is telling us now that we're waiting for Bob to destroy one of their non-fighter ships. In the game log, we can see that as well. So going over to Bob's tab, we got to destroy one of our non-fighter ships. So clicking on our ships in the system, if we try to click Alice's ship, we'll get invalid unit selected because that's not our ship. If we try to select our fighter, we cannot select the fighter. We cannot select infantry. So it's either going to be the cruiser or the carrier here, right? So let's go ahead and I'm wondering here if we destroy the carrier, if it's going to ask us to destroy our other ships, but I don't think so. So let's select the carrier. Yeah. Okay, so the carrier is gone. And now we can resolve abilities at the start of space combat. All right, so we'll pass these abilities. Pass here. We're not going to roll anti-fighter barrage because we're hoping some of Bob's ships survive so we can see how Duranium armor works. Let's not do that. No retreats. Okay, hopefully Bob can land a hit here. We do. Okay, that's nice. Hopefully Alice doesn't destroy Bob. Ooh, okay, that's bad. So waiting for Bob to resolve an ability. Now this is actually nice because we have shield holding, so we can cancel those 2 hits that Alice just produced on us. And now we'll get everyone else to pass on that. And now Alice could sabotage, but we're not going to do that. We're going to let Bob cancel the hits. And now Alice has to resolve abilities before assigning hits. So if we want to showcase Duranium armor here, what is Duranium armor? Duranium armor is about repairing ships that haven't to sustain damage during this combat round. So, well, because we're playing Federation of Sol, and because if you hover over our carrier, we got the upgraded carrier, you'll notice we can sustain damage. So during this ability round, before we assign hits, once we get back to Alice, Alice can click on her carrier to sustain damage. So let's do that. Okay, if we refresh the ships, you can see our carrier is on its side now, so it's sustained damage. Now here, if we wanted, we could also showcase the direct hit card, but we won't do that. Okay. And then after a round of space combat, we gotta pass through these cards again. Now here, right, this is the ability round where you would use Duranium armor. During each combat round after you assign hits to your units, repair one of your damaged units that did not use sustained damage. But because we just used the sustained damage, we can't use Duranium armor right now. So that'll have to come on the next round. We'll pass through this. And then we're back at the start of the next round of space combat. All right, so there are a lot of ability rounds here that we have to go through. So we'll pass through ability round here. Announce retreats. No. Hopefully. Oh, hold on. Refresh this. Okay. So hopefully Alice doesn't produce 3 hits against us because we have 3 ships left. Okay, we actually hit twice on Alice. And now we're gonna roll. Okay, good. So only 2 hits were produced against Bob, so we can see the effects of Duranium armor now. So waiting for Bob to resolve an ability before assigning hits. We can't do anything, so we're gonna pass. Okay, we gotta assign 2 hits. Let's assign them to our fighters. And then resolve abilities before Alice assigns hits. So we get to Alice's turn, and now we have that carrier that hasn't sustained damage, right? So using Duranium armor is going to come after we assign hits on this turn, right? So after we assign hits to our units. So we have, this is before assigning hits. So we still can't play Duranium armor yet, right? And we certainly can't sustain damage again because all carriers have already sustained damage. So we'll pass and we'll assign our hit. I'm not going to assign it to the carrier, we'll assign it to a fighter. Another fighter. Confirm. So now, after assigning hits, Bob will pass, Charlie will pass, and now we get back to our turn, and we're at this timing window of resolving abilities after assigning hits. So double clicking Duranium armor, now we get a little selection menu brought up, and hope you can see all this. I know in a couple of previous videos the scroll down menu wasn't visible, but in case you can see, it reads Duranium armor activated. Choose the name of the unit you want to repair. So we've got flagship, Warsun, dreadnought, and carrier. But of course, the only ship in here that can be repaired is the carrier. So if we try to click something like Warsun, we're going to get invalid unit choice. No Warsun in this system that meets the requirements of Duranium armor. So we'll click carrier, and we'll be asked to confirm that we want to repair a carrier. Technology played Duranium armor by Alice. And now, if we refresh the units on the board, we'll see our carrier is no longer on its side there. It's fully repaired and it's ready to use sustained damage again. All right. So that's, yeah, that's good. We got to see Duranium armor. All right. Now there's another technology I thought we might have got into, but it's not going to happen in this video because we're not going to have ground combat. There's no way. So we won't be seeing Megan defense grid. But I hope this video made it clear how to use those 3 combat technologies. So just to recap there, Graviton laser, that has to come at right before you click the green check mark for your space cannon offense, right? And then for the warfare techs, first we saw assault cannon, which you have to play when the ability round is saying at the start of space combat, and you have to have 3 non-fighter ships, right, the system. And lastly, we saw Duranium armor, which you can use after you assign hits to units, and one of your damage units hasn't used sustained damage during that particular combat round. All right. So that covers most of the lesser seen techs in the game. There's a couple more that we might go into in the next video, but for now, I think we'll take a break from techs, and maybe we'll go on to thinking maybe agendas, perhaps. Some interesting agendas we might see. The other thing I'm thinking of doing is starting another series that's going to feature the factions. So one video for each faction that we have so far. But until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.